Hello, my name is Augustas Karbauskis. I'm an economics specialization exchange student from Maastricht University. I will hereby present my exchange experience at Trinity College in Dublin, my chosen skill transformation, as well as how my time abroad formed my global citizenship. In the agenda, I will first recall the definition and purpose of global citizenship. Then, I will present the exchange timeline and skill results, of course, with a deep dive into the methods and reasons these results came about. And finally, I will conclude with my largest takeaways for how this experience shaped my worldview and what challenges may arise for future students in pursuing understanding of the world and global citizenship in general. Now, what is global citizenship? Well, broadly speaking, it is the consciousness of an individual that one's actions and ideas have great influence over the world in terms of the environment, economics, social problems, and other fields. It is the belief that one can act locally while keeping in mind other cultures and societies to make a positive change. The international organization UNESCO tries to materialize this virtue in the form of global citizenship education, with intergovernmental cooperation on school curricula. This includes learning about other cultures, regions deeply affected by climate change, and asking students to use critical reflection. The aim of the program is to ensure tolerance and cooperation for a more peaceful and prosperous planet. My time in the exchange began on the 5th of September when I arrived in Ireland. On the 14th and the 15th, teaching started and I took the general skills assessment in which I figured out two skills to greatly improve and documented the method I used to improve them until my final exam at Trinity College Dublin on the 19th of December. At the start of September, there was two specific skills I wanted to improve, which had the lowest scores. That was emotion regulation and interdisciplinary skills, with 66% and 46% converted to a 100% scale. Emotion regulation was developing, and interdisciplinary skills was just exploring. I was feeling very uncomfortable with those two, with previous studies in Maastricht, because, for example, for interdisciplinary skills, we mostly studied the mathematical side of economics, and I didn't have political or business oriented courses. And at the end of the year, I took the final assessment on the 30th of December. Emotional regulation went down at 60%, and interdisciplinary skills went up to competent very high at 70%, and I will explain why those two happened in the next slide. Just before starting the deep dive, I specifically chose emotion regulation and interdisciplinary skills because I would like to work at an NGO or intergovernmental organization in the future. Therefore, interdisciplinary skills are very useful, and I find myself struggling to have diverse interest with my university life because it takes up a lot of time, and that's why emotional regulation was low and still continues to be low. For interdisciplinary skills, at the start of the semester, my goal was to get a deeper understanding of political events, the stock market, and how each would influence a country's or trade bloc's economy. For that, I had set a goal of watching YouTube videos on the stock market on YouTube, as well as following politics through journals and talking to students of different fields. Because of the tough academic schedule, I did less than I had anticipated, but here are some things that led to the improvement of my interdisciplinary skills. While on exchange to Trinity College, I experienced a vastly different learning approach. Most courses had a very broad outlook with no core necessary textbook and many different viewpoints or scholars studied. What struck me was the more qualitative approach of courses like Economics of Less Developed Countries, which barely used the Heckscher all-in economic model, but relied rather on case studies and geopolitics to explain economic underperformance. I also took 3 courses in business. One of those, Business and Society, was a course that linked philosophical theories such as Friedman's view on the shareholder and Kantian deontology to the corporate world. Another course, Managing People and Leading Change, was a course based on team formation psychology and how empathy and the practice of emotional intelligence can foster productivity in the marketplace. Finally, I consistently kept my promise of reading political events on Politico, as my professor suggested, and got a load of information on France's governing crisis as well as European economics and politics that explained the same sovereign debt rising in France or the rise of stock prices of companies like Rheinmetall because of European investment in defense. For emotional regulation improvement, I had first set the goal of journaling outbursts of emotion, stress, and desperation. While the journal did not get completed, I also used meditation sessions every morning for mental health and communicated with other exchange students that were experiencing the same troubles of adapting to a new country that I was experiencing. Those things helped me a lot. However, as already mentioned, the new essay-like qualitative approach of teaching made me very nervous at first, explaining the lack of improvement in the skill. One concrete example occurred in the topic of economics of less developed countries, where students had to analyze a developing country's economy without a clear model and choosing between tens of academic articles provided in the course. While this freedom could bring out the best of my individual research, it got me wondering which approach should be used to start with. This exposed the fact that time is needed to understand other cultures' approaches to education and can cause severe stress. Through this, I learned both to appreciate the clear guidance of my home University of Maastricht and understand the struggle of foreign students coming to Maastricht given this cultural difference. In the end, what are the main takeaways for me as a present and future global citizen and for other students doing this course? First of all, through the broad teaching approach I had experienced in Trinity College, I would say that it really taught me that economics is a very interdisciplinary subject. I mean by that it's very interrelated to geopolitical events, to psychology and expectations in business, to philosophical ideas of thinkers such as Milton Friedman and others, to cultural differences between countries as well as environmental problems. It really opened my eyes, and also I learned that different people live in different places, meaning that they have different teaching approaches, as specified by my experience of not fitting in necessarily at the very start to the Irish teaching approach. And not only is this a problem, it is a very big opportunity both in academia as well as in business life, because different people come with different skill sets and we can both learn from each other. And thus, this think global, act local can be very beneficial of creating a more tolerant, more peaceful, but also more prosperous world, as I said in the beginning of this video.